Imagine you're on a date with someone and they tell you that they're ready to get married to you right then and there. They already know what to name your kids and they're just like future-proofed. They know exactly what they want. And you're there thinking you're going to get a cup of coffee and just get to know this person. Yikes. What a mismatch of expectation versus delivery. And that's exactly how product-led growth companies actually show up. But before we get into this week's episode, hi, I'm Anusha Kannan. I'm a marketer, I'm an analyst, I'm a writer, a content creator, a podcaster. And this is the 360-degree marketing show with Anusha Kannan. The sign-up pages usually have this transformation that they're selling you, right? They tell you that you're going to 10x your productivity. We have the most advanced AI system. But when the user actually logs in, let's say to use a product, they usually see this dashboard that they have to navigate. They have to set up everything from the scratch. And 9 times out of 10, they're not really in the mental space to do that. Or there's this AI chatbot that's going to give you the amazing tour, that's going to tell you where everything is. But if you actually go back to the dating scenario, you are there to just get to know someone, to just experience. And then maybe if it works out, you'll stay. And that's where most product-led growth companies fail because they've achieved adoption, right? Acquisition is no longer a problem, but activation is a huge problem. Once you've achieved acquisition, the problem is no longer at the top. It's about the mismatch in what you've offered them versus what they're actually getting. And the reason activation doesn't happen is because just think about the journey. They've probably seen an ad or they saw your landing page copy, some promise that reeled them in, right? Just like how on a first date, you see something about a person, you think, okay, I'm just going to give this a shot. I'm going to go get a cup of coffee with them and see what they have to say, right? But then the person that was on the dating app or the person that you met that you thought you were going to get an experience with doesn't end up actually being the person and they're completely different. That's exactly how users feel. When you give them a promise and you don't meet that right then and there, once they sign up, they kind of lose interest because there's a mismatch between what you've promised them versus what they're getting. Another huge problem is once they sign up, you immediately ask for their credit card or you say, use this one, you should upgrade, you should do this and that, you should talk to a salesperson. But you don't even let them experience. And the micro win is extremely important when it comes to product-led growth companies. And I believe that this is not a user experience problem. This is actually a go-to-market problem because you made a promise, you gave them a promise, and you're not keeping that promise once they actually take the action that you want them to take. For example, I've been using Notion for a decade now. And the one promise that reeled me in was that I could manage all of my projects under one product. And ever since I've discovered so many things about the product and they've never forced me to use any of them. Of course, they've given me nudges saying, hey, this exists, but they've never forced me to quote unquote marry them, right? And that to me is my coffee moment, right? I got the coffee with them. I know how the experience feels. And they actually promised me something and they kept that promise. And the deeper functionality, like how Notion helps me take my meeting notes with AI, all of that just came later as I got the opportunity to actually test the tool out and use it. And that's how most product-led growth products work because they give you just enough upfront to gain your curiosity and make you want to sign up to their premium version. Not them pushing you great features that they think are great, but you don't even need these tools or these features in the first place. And that's what I always think about. Product-led growth companies think that they have some of the most amazing features on planet Earth, but customers don't care about these features. Don't just advertise the tools and features you think are great. Think about if these features and tools are actually great for your customers. So how do you actually fix this? I use something that I call as the Promise Path Payoff framework. The promise is the hook. Think about this. When you watch a YouTube video, the one that you probably clicked on this is because of the thumbnail. The thumbnail is the hook, the promise. But the most important question to ask here is, can you keep that promise? Can you deliver that value from that promise quickly? For example, if your homepage says that you can automate your content workflow 10x or 3x, the minute they sign up, they should be able to do that. Because if they get lost in the whole configuration overwhelming phase, they are pretty much likely to ghost your product rather than stick around to figure out how it can actually be of use to them. And that's a problem with most tools, right? You have some of the best features, but you don't even give someone the chance to get to know you. It's like when you go on a first date and you just tell them that you want to marry them, but you never really give them a chance to get to know you, to make them want to be married to you. Most companies, the problem is they overpromise transformation and underdeliver clarity. So number 2 is path. So next, how do you guide the user toward achieving their goal? And this isn't just about onboarding user experience. This is about go-to-market driven onboarding. A couple of things that you could do is tailor the path based on who signed up. My favorite example is Airtable. When I first signed up to their platform to use the tool, they ask you what you do, who you are, where you work, as you can see on the screen. And I absolutely love this because they give you examples on what you might be looking for, because sometimes the tools are amazing, but you're not exactly sure what exactly you could use them for. Basically personalized based on their job role or what they're actually going to manage, or what the best use case for them could be. Build nudges like an SDR would. Instead of saying things like, here, find this, find that here, find this here, why can't you say something like, hey, do you need help with building your first campaign? Do you want to know what other marketers are doing at this stage? Like I mentioned, activation is not about how great your product is or your tool is. It's about showing them what progress they can make. Always remember, your customers have to feel like the winners out of this deal, not you. Number 3, payoff. Finally, it's like you are at the finish line. You have to help your customers taste the win. And I don't mean just in functionality, but with feedback. Feedback like, hey, you've just published your first campaign. You've just saved 2 hours using this certain feature in our tool. Because these are not just metrics, these are micro moments of delight. It's like when you're on a date, this person says, I really like your smile. They know you look beautiful, but they don't have to say that, but it makes you feel good. Or if you make a very funny joke and they say, hey, you're very funny, it feels nice. Even though you know that's the truth, it still feels nice. And great product-led growth companies, especially in the freemium version, they are helping their customers realize that, hey, having this tool actually helps me make my life easier. And also the most important point here is that you keep reminding them, I am keeping the promise I made to you. It's like even when you're married, people say you've got to assure each other that you're there for them. They say this, and that's because even though the promise was made, it's always nice to get some reassurance. And we as humans love reassurance. And the best part, and I think one of the most important parts of a full funnel marketing, cycle is that activation is actually the most critical part of marketing. Because when you do the activation stage right, you not only just convert better, you also retain better. And the number one indicator of churn is the user who actually never got to experience the full product or service or tool in the first place. So don't lead with the ring, lead with a coffee. Lead with a promise that you can actually keep. I also always tell myself this, the brands that win with product-led growth are the brands that are really patient and they're very intentional. They know exactly how long it's going to take, what it's going to take to make their customers feel heard. And that is the most important part, because they optimize for curiosity, not commitment. As a customer, whenever I sign up for tools or products, when I use them, I kind of have this mental checklist of things I notice about these tools. And I put together a PLG audit that you can use. You can find the link to that in the description, or you can go to anushakannan.com/360-degree nucleus and get it for free. And if you want to get my newsletter weekly once, go to anushakannan.com/newsletter. But don't forget to get this PLG audit by going to anushakannan.com/360-degree nucleus. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.